Miss Tammy, how you been?
Good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah.
So you'll have to ask again next week about out of body experiences, because I remembered some now that I thought about it. So we'll have to talk about that again next week.
That's great. You can share then.
Sure.
How are your children?
Oh, they're good.
Good.
They just left. They had a great day today.
Oh, good. Oh, they stay with their dad?
Yeah, he came and picked him up a little right before this started.
I see. So how many days do you take care of them?
So normally it's changed so much, but now it's like I'll keep him during the day, and then he'll come get him after he's done teaching, and then bring him back in the evening around bedtime.
I see. So from Monday to Thursday, they will be with you?
And then and then Friday he keeps him overnight, or Thursday he's been keeping him overnight right now, and then I get him again Saturday morning, and then he'll keep him until like tomorrow afternoon.
Okay.
But it changes all the time. We still haven't quite figured it out yet.
Okay. Do you need any books to read? Any Buddhist book to read?
Oh, I have a bunch of them still that I haven't gotten through yet.
I see.
We busted out that fan this morning. Oh my goodness, the kids love the fan. David was talking about getting a fan not too long ago.
What's that?
And then
the
fan.
Okay.
That he was talking about wanting a fan. I wanted to order one, and I didn't. And then we got that one. And so I walked in the room this morning, and he had a little picture, and he said, "I'm fanning myself, Mama." And I was like, "Here, why don't you use a real fan?" So he's been just like running around with that thing, popping it open and dancing and leaping and having a good old time. It's been so funny.
Hai thân thiền. How are you doing, thân thiền?
More Phật thầy. Yeah, I've been doing good. So how about you?
It's okay. Yeah. Okay. Let's. Yes, Mr. Thân Tư, you could watch our last discussion, right?
Yes, Tay. I watched most of it, but I haven't finished watching all of them yet.
Okay.
But yes, I was able to. So thank you, Tay.
Welcome. How is your daughter doing? She's go back to school. She study online now.
She's actually taking classes online for the summer. So her class is gonna be done next week, and then we will take her back up to her school because she's renting an apartment up there.
Oh, really?
So yes, so probably the beginning of September.
So in California, everything is okay now?
No, it's not okay, Tay. It's still there's still problem and issues, but
oh, really?
You live the best that you can and try to stay positive as much as you can. And that's all you can do. There's nothing, there's only certain things you can control, and things you can't control, you can't be stressed out about it.
So it's scary for you to send her to the apartment?
Yes, she basically will be, she has her own room, and we try to tell her to make sure that she's careful, but you know, she knows to be staying, even here, like even when she's around her friends, they practice, they wear masks and they social distance. So I just pray the best that I can to make sure that she's safe, and she does understand the importance of it. And that's all you can do, right? So
Yeah. Okay, that's good. Yeah, for that age, sometimes the young people, they may not forget, they may not remember anything about social distance or wearing the mask when they have so much fun, right?
correct. Yes. But yes, I think her roommate also too. I mean, at least she tells me one, not the other two that I'm aware of. But the other one, they said that they don't want to be around a lot of people either. So hopefully, they're good about practice social distancing and wearing masks,
Yeah,
because in that area is actually less cases than San Diego.
okay, that's
They're in
great.
a small town.
Yeah. Okay, that's great. Thank you. All right, let's us go back and we study the sutra again. Hi, William. How you been, William?
Good.
Good.
How are you?
Okay. Yeah, let me share. Okay. Sorry, this is not the article. All right, Thân Thiện, you mind to read, please?
After the Buddhas have passed into extinction, a person of good and gentle mind and living beings such as these have all attained Buddha way. After the Buddhas have passed into extinction, if person make offering to the relics in 10,000 or a million kind of towers using gold, silver, and crystal, seashell, and agate, carnelian, lazuli, hair to purify and adorn them sensibly. In this way, the erecting towers, if they raise up stone to temples, or those are sandalwood, aloes, or vanilla, or other kinds of timber, or brick, tile, clay, or earth. If in the midst of the Buddha they pile up earth to make a mortuary temple for the Buddhas, or even if little boys at play should collect sand to make a Buddha tower, then persons such as these have all attained Buddha way. So what is meaning that after the Buddha passed away, passed into extinction, um, the people that are with a good and gentle mind will attend the Buddha way. These kind of people that will make offering to the relics, they will do. They will use all kind of materials to build the towers and the temple to we pay respects to the Buddha. So these kind of people will attend the Buddha way. This is the way they to pay respect to the Buddha.
Okay, thank you. There is a story about Ashoka. I don't know whether you recognize Ashoka, William. You recognize the king, Emperor Ashoka?
Yes, didn't Ashoka build a monument in Lumbini Park, a big pillar?
Everywhere. He built a lot. He built the pillar around India, and actually without him, the Buddhist people now they would not know whether this actual historical Buddha or not. So because of him, we know that there is a historical Buddha that appear on the world. Let me type this one here. Yeah, that's called a pillar, Ashoka pillar. Let me show you. This is the pillar here. That's everywhere. He put the pillar at the Buddha, where the Buddha was born, where Buddha attained enlightenment, where the Buddha first gave the teaching, and where the Buddha entered nirvana, and many places around India too. So right here, you see is here. These are places that's he put his pillar. This is his pillar. It lasts more than 2,000 years. Can you imagine? I don't know. In the past, they didn't have any iron or metal core. So I don't know how could they make it and stand for thousand years. Anyway, so this is the place that he built. That's right here, Lumbini. That's the main. That's where the main pillars and stupa that he built around his empire. So anyway, the reason why I mentioned about him is that during the Buddha time, this story that when the Buddha walked along a river with Ananda, so there were a group of children. They play around. I don't know whether I told you or not. So they play with the sand, and somehow they build a castle with the sand. And so one boy, somehow, why he saw the Buddha approaching him from far distance, so he used his hand to uh, uh, to get hold his sand castle and brought that sand to offer to the Buddha. You know that story before? Thân Thiên, you know that story? No? Miss Thân Như, Miss Thân Tư, you know this story?
No, I don't know the story, Thầy.
So basically, so he offered the Buddha in his mind the castle that he built by sand, and so at that time the Buddha accept his offer and told Vembananda that you need to keep this cup of sand in front of my bed, on my bed, so that it will be blessing for him. And he make the prediction that this young boy, the next 200 years, who he will be my Dharma protectors. And that's Ashoka purest life. And later on, yeah, he was born as a prince and eventually became an emperor and unified India. After that, after he converted into Buddhism, because he killed more than 100,000 people with this regret, so he was converted to Buddhism by a young monk, and from that time on, he renounced all violence acts, and he built all the stupa and pillars around the countries, and he became one of the Buddhist great emperors in Buddhist communities. And he sent 9 delegations to the east and to the west. Some delegation went to China, Japan, and to the west, even far to the Eastern Europes. So again, he's so incredible if you have the time to read his story. But my point is, as in this sutra, I mean that in this passage, they say that even, sorry, even little boys, if they play at the play, should collect sand to make the Buddha towel. Then person should at least have or attend the Buddha way. So this is somehow is prediction in this sutra that no matter who they are, whether they're young or old, especially even they so little, they still have that kind of potential to become Buddha, to become a great person. And another story is that this one Chinese Buddhist scholar and practitioner during the third or fourth century. So when the Nirvana Sutra was translated for the first portion of it, and it's mentioned that one type of person, the one that deny the cause and effect, deny there's no cause and effect, there's no good or bad, there's no karma, and so on. So in the portion, the first portion of that sutra, Nirvana Sutra, said that this type of person could not have Buddha nature. But this monk, his name is Dao Shan, so he proposed, no, he said that this type of person still have the Buddha nature. So at first, because people trust the authorities of the sutra, so they dispel, and then they dispel him. They kick him out of the monastery, the temple. And he said, if I say right, I would pass away when he was lecturing. So what happened then when he was kicked away, when he was kicked out of the monastery, he went to the mountain and he talked to the rock. And he said, well, you know, all people, including that type person, the person who does not believe in karma, cause, effect, or good or bad, they still have good nature, Buddha nature then. So somehow it said that the rock agree with him mystically. So, but later on, this other monks, other translated the last part of that sutra, Nirvana Sutra, and it revealed that yes, that type of person still have Buddha nature. So from that time on, people respect him. People respect his wisdom, and but he still stay in the mountain. And of course, people came to seek for his teaching, and he passed away while he was lecturing on his seat. So anyway, the point I want to mention is that whether it's old or new, in Buddhist view, especially high Buddhist view, everyone has Buddha nature. Every sentient beings has Buddha nature, regardless who they are, whether they're good or bad, whether they criminals or good people, they still have the Buddha nature. So that's what I want to mention about. Anyone want to share anything? Yes, Miss Tammy. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think that's 100. I agree with that 100%. You know, you can see it in the young children. Of course, you know, babies are all born with that nature, so they just kind of get, I feel skewed, you know, throughout their lives through different events.
Yeah.
And also with the kids. So my son, he builds temples with his magnet tiles. Even this morning, he was building a temple this morning. He's like, Mom, I'm building a temple. Yeah, the first time was like late March. I came home from work one day, and he's like, Mom, I built you a temple. Do you want to meditate next to it?
Wow, that's cute.
Yeah. And then I was talking to a couple of social workers. They were social workers back in the 80s here in Louisville. And there was a group home that they worked at. And they said one of the arts and crafts things that they would do with them is they could paint sculptures. So they had pre-made sculptures that the kids could paint. And they said that all the young boys would always go to the Buddha statues.
Oh, really?
They said it really amazed them that all the boys would tend to always go to the statues to sculpt and paint.
Wow, that's wonderful. Wow. So later on in this sutra, it mentioned that if you yield to the people that come to the temple to do meditation or chanting, to the 50 people, you still create a good karma. And if someone just come to the temple and put the palm together to salute or to pay respect to Buddha, the Buddha say that I give the permission to those people who will attend Buddhahood in the future. We don't know how long, but that's what Buddha say. Yeah. So this is important. That's in Buddhist view, everyone has a couple nature, and even the dog, the cat, right? Some of them so cute that they even sacrifice their life for their owners. And again, that's the nature. That's a good nature. Assist with any sentient beings. What do you think, William?
Yeah, that's I agree. That's my understanding as well. I just had a passing funny thought when you talked about dogs or cats. Like dogs are notoriously very loyal. Cats tend to be. People make jokes about about cats turning on their owners. I just was having a random thought passing through.
Yeah.
Where they're like waiting to eat their owners once they die is the joke about cats.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. So again, that is the Buddhist view, and that's why we respect all sentient beings, including fish, chicken, cow, pig, and so forth. We respect their life, not to consume them because of that. Okay, Miss Thân Như, Miss Thân Tư, you want to share anything? Or okay, all right. Yes.
Oh no, Tay. I was just saying that I'm okay. I think we all have it in us. It just depending on the environment that we're in. Like just you grew up with an environment that has a good Buddha nature, you learn more. As we said, when we're born, we don't, we're pure. We don't have any bad traits, good traits. It's all learning. And so fortunately, some of us that has good karma, we were raised up in the right place, the right time, the right family, so we can have good education, good morals, and unfortunately, not everyone is fortunate in that. Sometimes they live in an environment that is very hostile, or they don't have the opportunity. So, I think that's all based on karma. And unfortunately, there's a lot of sad situation in the world. You just wish that you could help everybody, but you don't have that power. So hopefully that, each one of us, we can contribute and help the best we can with the people that we are surrounded by.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, Miss Thân Như, you want to share anything?
I think in terms of the Buddha mind, I think we've seen pictures of the dogs that live in the temple, and there's a picture that comes to my mind of the dog that has learned to follow his master, who's a monk, and this dog knows how to clasp his paws in prayer, and sits in front of the altar and pays his respect to the Buddha. So it's amazing what we can learn. Even animals can, even the dogs can learn that kind of behavior. Everything is reliant upon our karma. I think in terms of sentient beings, males are more, I guess if you are more favorable, it is believed that you're born as a male versus a female. And then karmically, you are born as a human being versus an animal. But in each of those categories, how we are karmically is reliant upon, or even if you're born as a female, but you're born in a condition or an environment where you are lucky enough to be surrounded by positive influences, or under which conditions, this generation versus 200 years ago, where the females are not regarded as having any rights or having any authorities. And then likewise, if you're an animal, depends on what environment you live in under the circumstance. If you're a dog and you're living in the temple, you get to listen to the sutra day in and day out. So definitely that seeps into the consciousness, and it becomes repetitive. And even though you're born as an animal, as a dog, you are still having your blessing. So in that respect, then you have an opportunity for the Buddha mind to surface.
Yeah. Thank you. Thầy Giáo Pháp, you want to share anything?
Well, very much they said. So basically, it's regardless, it's a human or animal, everything is related to the consciousness level. So that means it's from the consciousness, that therefore it's a karma, and depend on their karma, and that's how they appear in the form of a human, having a god, animal, whatever, but they still have the Buddha nature, regardless of who they are. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. All right. So let's us move on. Yeah. Let's see here. Yeah. Go ahead. William, could you please witness?
Yes. If there are persons who, for the sake of the Buddha, fashion and set up images, carving them with many distinguishing characteristics, then all have attained the Buddha way. Where if they make things out of the 7 kinds of gems, of copper, red or white copper, pewter, lead, tin, iron, wood, or clay, or use cloth soaked in lacquer or resin to adorn and fashion Buddha images, then persons such as these have all attained the Buddha way. If they employ pigments to paint Buddha images, endowing them with the characteristics of 100-fold merit, if they make them themselves or have others make them, then all have attained the Buddha way. Even if little boys in play should use a piece of grass or wood or a brush or perhaps a fingernail to draw an image of the Buddha, such persons as these bit by bit will pile up merit and will become fully endowed with a mind of great compassion. They all have attained the Buddha way. So here the Buddha is making clear that if someone has gotten to the point in their reverence of the Buddha that they're going to make an image of the Buddha in really any form, even if they're just a small child drawing it on the ground, all the way up to someone working with precious gems, that they have attained the Buddha way and one day realize complete total enlightenment and achieve Buddhahood. So as speaking of karma and consciousness, it makes sense that to get to the point where one reveres the Buddha to the extent that they would then want to make an image and make it well, for this, like specifically, for the sake of the Buddha, that mentions in the beginning. So intention is important there, and that they're making, if they're painting it, they're putting in all of these characteristics of like physical perfection, that the marks that the Buddha has. It takes being at a specific level of consciousness to see that being as a valuable endeavor, and to appreciate the Buddha. So it seems to make sense given the laws of karma and consciousness that would be true, that someone would have attained the Buddha way by taking on those actions. And then furthermore, I mean, they're going to benefit other living beings who see those images and use them as a center for focus and for their practice.
So my question is that why is the image is so important? So how it's even here let's say the boy who draw the Buddha could they would attain Buddhahood. So why the image is so important?
Well, from where I sit, it seems to not be that it is a particular specific image that's what's important. Because clearly a little boy drawing in the sand, or a little girl for that matter, drawing in the sand couldn't do a really great job. It seems to be more about the intention that's behind it. So if someone is drawing an image of the Buddha, I mean, it's typically going to be an act of reverence. It's going to be because they're thinking about the Buddha, and they're thinking about the Buddha in a positive way. And it seems that the law the Buddha is sharing here is that if we are honoring the Buddha, and in this one particular example, if we're honoring the Buddha through drawing an image of the Buddha, then the state of mind that would have us honor the Buddha is already ensuring that at some point we will achieve Buddhahood, because we've already recognized that the Buddha is worthy of honor.
Yeah, so my question is that which one does last long in our the image that we see or visualize, or the sound that we hear, which one could detain longer in our memories?
Probably the image.
Why is that? Why is the image, not the sound?
Most of our brain, like of all of our senses, our visual sense uses up the majority of our brain. We are just, on average, all of us tend to be much more visual. We use it to interact with the environment. Just it's like our dominant sense.
But remember, when we see something, we have that kind of limitation, right? But when we hear something without the wall, even without the wall, we still hear someone talking in different rooms. But with the wall, we cannot see. Why image is so important? Why we can detain the image in our memory longer than the sound then? It's so important. Why it's an opposite? One is that for the image will be blocked by the wall. For the sound, even there's a wall there, the one that talking something else in the next door and next room, we can still hear, but somehow we can detain the image longer in our memory than the sound. That's the structure of our brain. Or what do you think? In medical field, you have other kind of explanation?
More of our brain is devoted to processing visual input than it is to processing auditory input. So there does seem to be kind of physiologic and anatomic reason for that. I would speculate that it also has to do with how we interact with the environment. We tend to be very visual. We of course use our ears, but they seem to be more of a kind of supportive thing in the background. Like we can get around in our environment without sound, but we have a heck of a hard time getting around without vision. You can, because there are people who are blind who get around from just sound, but then they have to use feel too. They have to use a stick to make sure they're not running into anything. So it seems that sound alone is not as good of a guide as the visual field is.
The next question I ask is that here anyone who have the tools about Buddha image before, actual person in your dreams before? Thân Thiện, you have that? Have you dreamed any Buddha and Bodhisattva in your dreams before?
No, not yet. But I have dreams about monks. I have dreams about monks.
How about temple?
Yeah, temple.
You did? Okay. All right. Miss Thân Tư, you have that type of dreams before?
You know, sorry, Thầy. Did you ask me to?
Excuse me?
Did you just ask the?
Yeah. Just
Yes.
ask if you have any dreams, Buddhas and Bodhisattva in your dreams before?
You know what? Off the top of my head, I don't remember vividly, but I just remember about my grandmother, and just the association grandmother Buddha to the Buddha. But if I'm sure I have it, just for it right now.
Oh, yeah. Okay. How about Miss Thân Tư? Thân Như, we have anything?
There's like a reverberations or an echo or something in the background, so it makes it a little bit harder to hear. I don't know if you can hear me okay.
Yeah, you can hear you clearly now. Yeah.
Okay. It seems like there's like a feedback or something like that. So in my dreams, I have not dreamt of the Buddha, but as my sister said, it was during the time of my grandmother's passing where we sat in prayers for a long period of time after her passing, and we recited the Buddha's name for 8 hours. And at the time, I believe Thầy Giáo Pháp and the group of people who were there were also supporting our prayers. And I think that was the first time we met you and Thầy Giáo Pháp as well. And after that, during the service, we consistently recited the Buddha's name. And I did remember closing my eyes and seeing the images of the Buddha as he was guiding my grandmother. I do not know, and at that time, I was surprised to see that, but I didn't know that I don't know for sure, or it could have been, I feel, my subconsciousness where I wanted that to be the image that I'm seeing, because I was saying reciting the Buddha name, and I felt that I willed it to happen. So in that respect, I did see the Buddha guiding my grandmother, and I believe there was a monk to her side as well. So I have to say, it's not in my dream that I saw it. That was the time that I was seeing that, but I cannot say that it was concise or it was just a figment of wish that I had wanted to happen, and that's how I saw it.
Oh, so Miss Thân Tư, you seen that? You saw that too, or?
Yes, you know, sometimes, you know, when you pray and you meditate, which sometimes I see that the vision of the Buddha, and then is some, I don't know if what the symbolism that I want to see it, or it just my imagination that when I pray, that's what I want to see. So I see that the image of the Buddha when I do pray or meditate sometime.
I mean that it happen occasionally or just one time?
It happened occasionally or what day?
This happens several times or only one time?
Oh no, it happens more than one time. So what I do is that's my focal point, is that when I meditate or I pray, I try to visualize the Buddha And so that's the image I have in my when I pray or I meditate.
Oh, okay. So you say
I
that
would, yeah, go ahead, Tay.
you say that at first you try to visualize the Buddha, right?
Mhm.
When you
Yeah,
meditate, when you do the prayer or chanting, right? And later
yeah.
on, the Buddha image appear on your mind, right?
Yes, but I wouldn't say it happened every single time. It's just that you have to concentrate, and that's what I wanted to see. That's my focus and my how do I say this? It's just my focus that when I like right now, even if I close my eye, I can see the statue that's up in my my room, my office. So that is my visualization. That when I pray, that's what I see in my mind.
Wow, your mind is so powerful. Then this is very, yeah, it's very important. You know, in the Pure Land tradition, this one story, one sutra, one particular sutra that teach us how to visualize the Buddha's Amitabha Buddha, Wang Bodhisattva, and restaurant Bodhisattva as well as his land. So if you have that skill, you can visualize them. And on the verge of your death, who knows, you may be there with them because you are with them, at once with them. So that's why this is one of the practice. Uh, and if you have that skill, I think you may need to develop more. If you want to become born in the Western Pure Land of Amitabha Buddha, otherwise you don't need to.
Yeah, understand. Yeah, like I said, is that you have to is your concentration, right? Is let's say if there's a day that my mind is bothered by different things, maybe I might not see it. But then if I fully focus and relax and not think about anything, and then I can have that vision. So it does take practice. It's not something that comes naturally.
Yeah, but that's great. That's accord with the Buddha teaching in that sutra, what we call the long Amitabha Buddha Sutra. The Buddha mentioned about the 16 techniques of visualization of Buddha's Bodhisattva and his land. So as long as you have that clear vision of visualization of Buddha's Bodhisattva and the land, you have more great chance to reborn over there right after you pass away. Yesterday we talked about if on the verge of death, if we have some kind of negative emotion, we would go down to the appropriate realms, like even animals like the snake and so forth. If we have that kind of angry thought, and if we have the compassionate thought, if we have the lofty thought, we may be born in some kind of heaven. So if you have the thought about Buddhas and Bodhisattva at the verge of your life, at the verge of your death, it's pretty, has more chance for you to go there. So anyway, the reason why I bring up this is because, again, if we have the connection with Buddhas, Bodhisattva in the past, sometime in our life, especially while we are sleeping, we could see them again. Again, sometimes we say, oh, dreams is illusion, dream is untrue story. It would, I mean, that we would not trust anything about the dreams, but sometimes dreams come true. The reason why I want to mention is that because while we're sleeping, our five sense organ would not work anymore. Our eyes, ears, our nose, uh, our tongues, our nose, and so forth, they don't work. So they won't interfere with our pure nature. And so whichever thing we have kept in our consciousness will appear again. So if we have condition or affinity with Buddhas, Bodhisattva, especially the image of them, or even their actual figures. They would appear in our dreams, and that's good indication that we have good connection with them. And like Thăng Thiền, probably you have good connection with monks in the past. That's why you dreams of them. Right? And of course, unless you put effort into visualization of them, you could see them frequently. Otherwise, if you don't put any effort, but it pop up in your dreams, so somehow in Buddhist view, it's authentic that you have that kind of connection with them. Yeah. Okay. So, all right, let's move on then. Okay. Yes, Mr. Thân Như, would you like to read, please?
Yes, Tay. Even if little boys in play should use a piece of grass or wood or a brush, or perhaps a fingernail to draw an image of the Buddha, such persons such as these, bit by bit, will pile up merit and will become fully endowed with a mind of great compassion. They all have attained the Buddha way. Merely by converting the bodhisattvas, they bring salvation and release to numberless multitudes. And if persons, in the presence of such memorial towers, such jeweled images and painted images, should with reverent minds make offerings of flowers, incense, banners, or canopies, or if they should employ persons to make music, striking drums, or blowing horns, or conch shells, playing pipes, flutes, zithers, harps, balloons, guitars, cymbals, and gongs, and if these many kinds of wonderful notes are intended wholly as an offering, or if one with a joyful mind sings a song in praise of the Buddha's virtue, even if it is just one small note, then all who do these things have attained the Buddha way. If someone with a confused and distracted mind should take even one flower and offer it to a painted image, in time he will come to see countless Buddhas. So again, this is in reference of dedication and reverence and respect to the Buddha and to the Buddha's image. And little by little, as you bestow upon, or if you dedicate yourself to revering and to respecting the Buddha and having it be in the forefront of your mind, it is a positive progress in the right direction to attaining the Buddha way. Even if you, so it seems that either by contribution of material things, flowers, music, anything that is of good intention, dedicated to the Buddha, will give you a good direction heading towards the Buddha way.
So what do you think? This kind of passages encourage people, especially Buddhist people, to engage in ritual ceremony or ritual practice. What do you think?
I think culturally it does, because in each culture, especially in the Asian culture, it does, and sometimes it's very altruistic, but sometimes it is just it's just what you have seen in the past. But I think more importantly, it's how you show your dedication and how you show your respect. Whether a person who has the means to provide the material offerings to the Buddha, or the person has nothing but he only has his reverence and he only has his time in reciting the Buddha names or reciting the sutras, or if he has whatever menial assets he has, and he offers it up to the Buddha in pure heart, I think that, to me, is equivalent. It does not necessarily mean you have to set up a whole grand display, but it is what you do so purely and honestly and sincerely. If you have a whole, if you set up a whole stupa, or you set up a whole temple, and you do so for whatever whatever intention you have that is not pure, then you will know it and the Buddha will know it. And I don't think that that is equivalent. It is not pure. The intention has to be pure. But perhaps at that moment, you may not have as pure intention as you want, but you say to the Buddha, I'm trying, I want to head in the right direction. I know there are other thoughts in my mind that is blurring my true intention, but I want to head in the right direction. Then I think, and I always regard the Buddha as being compassionate and understanding. And it might not be that day that you will reach your goal, but it is the first step. And if you continue forth, then eventually the karma, bit by bit, step by step, your karma that you build up, your merit that you build up, it will eventually lead you there. Just like your story of the King Ashoka, he was a child, he was a little boy. He did not become Ashoka for, who knows how many generations and how many lifetimes, but eventually he got there. So with the proper intention leading you into the right Buddha way, it will not happen the first time, it will not happen the 100th time, but it will eventually lead you into the right path.
Yeah, well, thank you. I don't know whether you know the story about an old woman who begged for $1. Of course, it's equivalent to the monies in the past. So because of her sincerity, she used that dollars to buy the oil, so that she could light the light and make offer to the Buddha. You know that story, William? You know that?
I might have heard it before, but I can't recall it in detail.
Yeah. So basically, of course, the king, he ordered to bring the oils to light to make the lamp light to offer to Buddhas, but somehow their lights could not be brighter than the light of that old lady lights, the old lamp lights. So again, in Buddhism, like Mr. Thang Yoke mentioned, the sincerity is so important, not the amount that we offer, but the quality, the sincere mind that we want to offer, we want to share. That's more important. Or intention, good intention is more important. Okay, so if you want to share with your children about this story, I have this one. Of course, it's not we don't need to watch it. This one, the Old Lamb Buddhist story. William, you can share with your daughter. Mr. Tammy, you can share this story for your children. It's very interesting. Okay, let's just move on then. Okay. Yes, Mr. Thang Tư, please.
We start if someone take.
Yeah, you. Yeah, can you read, please?
Yes, if someone with a and distracted mind should take even one flower and offer it to a painted image, in time he will come to see countless Buddha. Or if a person should bow or perform obedience, or should merely press his palms together, or even should raise a single hand, or give no more than a slight nod of the head, and this were done in offering to an image, then in time he would come to see countless Buddhas. If he himself attained unsurpassed way and spread salvation abroad to countless multiples, he will enter nirvana of no remainder as a fire dies out when the firewood is exhausted. If person with confused and distracted minds should enter a memorial tower and once claim held to the Buddha, then all have attained the Buddha way. If from the past Buddhas, when they were in the world or after their extinction, they should be those who heard this law, all have attained the Buddha way. So I think that the passage is basically saying that if anyone is confused or distracted, but they have a image of the Buddha, then they should be able to attain Buddhahood. And then if there are people that is, I guess they are not, let me see this. So if they are the one that's obedience, and if they pray to the Buddha and put their hands together, and they should be able and have an image of the Buddha, then they should be, I mean, if they were able to do that, they will be able to see countless numbers of Buddha. So in the end, it's basically that if there's anything in your mind, like if you're confused or you're distracted, but for some reason you are able to have a way to not so much having the image of the Buddha, but like if you're able to be alert and in this passage say that if you're able to hail the Buddha, which means you are subservient, that you're able to pray to him, then you should be able to attain Buddhahood. So all in all, is that whether the way how I understand it, maybe I'm wrong, is that even if you're good or even if you're bad, and if you are able to have any sorts of way to reach out to the Buddha, then you will be able to attain the Buddha way.
Yeah. So when I read this passage, so I remember the story. I don't know whether you remember the story that an old man, 80-year-old, I don't know whether we discussed before. He went to the monastery to ask permission to become a monk because his children wrote him away. You remember that story, William?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, we discussed that. Can you tell again, please?
Oh yes, he so his family had cast him out. I think because he was too old to be of any service anymore, and so it was kind of a cruel thing to do. They really should have taken care of him. And so he went to the monastery to see if he could become a monk, and there were arhats there, and there were a few of them used their spiritual powers to look back. I think it was 84,000 lifetimes, or was it 84,000 years? I think 84,000 lifetimes. And in all of those lifetimes, they couldn't see any life where the old man had done anything involving the Buddha Dharma. So they refused to allow him to become a monk. And he had decided that he would end his life because, his family didn't want him. He couldn't even join a monastery. So I think he was going to throw himself into a river when the Buddha appeared and inquired of him what was happening, what he was doing. And the old man told the Buddha his story. And the Buddha's vision is completely unencumbered and not limited to a certain number of lifetimes. So he saw this lifetime like way back where I think this man was a hunter, and he had climbed a tree to escape a wild animal. I think it was a big cat, like a lion or a tiger. And while he was in the tree, he exclaimed some praise to the Buddha, like, hail Buddha or praise Buddha. Or he turned to the Buddha in that moment of fear and panic with, sincere belief. And the Buddha saw that, and so said that he would take him on as a monk. And he explained it to the other arhats, what he had seen. So it was a testament to the apparent something that looks just so insignificant and has like so little virtue in it can be the seed of Buddhahood.
Well, is that possible? What do you think? Is that possible? If, let's say, if someone have seen something when they were young, but later on it will have impact in their life. Let's say 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now. Let's say some youth, right? They may see how we help homeless people. And first, they may not pay attention much, but you think it may impact their mind the next few decades? What do you think? Is it possible?
I think absolutely possible. Just like there are a lot of trees that grow very large, and they start with a little bitty seed. And if that tree, you plant the seed and that tree grows, well, it's going to drop a ton of seeds, and you can grow a forest from a little bitty seed if you take enough time. And I think in my own experience, I've had events in my life that certainly 20, 30 years later, maybe not 30 years later, I'm only 34, but 20 years later, that I look back on those and I notice that throughout the years I have looked back on it and it has impacted me. So yeah, absolutely. I think even a small gesture could end up creating a lot of effects.
Okay. Thầy giáo Pháp, Jenny, she's there or no?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, yeah. Because you put iPhone, so I don't know. If you can, please next time put your name so that I can invite you to read the Buddhist passage, okay?
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Let me, okay, would you mind to read next? Okay.
Okay. If persons with confused and distracted minds should enter a memorial tower and once exclaim, "Hail to the Buddha," then all have attained the Buddha way. If from past Buddhas, when they were in the world or after the extinction, they should be those who heard this law, then all have attained the Buddha way. The world-honored ones of the future, whose numbers will be incalculable, these thus come ones will also employ expedient means to preach the law. And all these thus come ones through countless expedient means will save and bring release to living beings so that they enter the Buddha's wisdom, which is free of outflows. If there are those who hear the law, then not one will fail to attain Buddhahood. The original vow of the Buddhas was that the Buddha way, which they themselves practice, should be shared universally among living beings so that they too may attain this same way. So I guess from what I understand is, I guess it doesn't matter if you're confused or distracted or just living in ignorance, but if there's somehow in your life where you hear the Buddha or the Buddha's laws, or just something or anything that has to do with the Buddha. It's almost as if there's a light that, as if you're in darkness and then you see a light. I mean, that's the way I understand it. I'm just going to give my example. I would say about maybe about 10 years ago, I was in a very dark place in my life. I've never been of any type of religion or any type of a belief. Or I know that there's a higher. I've always believed that there's a higher power, that there's something bigger than us. But I never was like just no religion or anything. So I was in this dark place in my life, and somehow I don't even know how, but somehow I was led to the Buddha, to Buddhism. I don't know. I just started reading spiritual books, not any religion books or anything like that, but just spiritual. And somehow it just led me to the Buddha. And once I started learning a little bit about the Buddha and Buddhism, it was as if some of these things that I've learned, it was as if I already knew it, because a lot of these things is what I had already believed in, and just the way, that the laws of nature and karma and everything works. I've just believed in it. And so I feel almost as if Buddhism found me instead of me finding Buddhism. So that's why I just think that, we could be very confused and in a dark place in our lives, but there's this light, and if you're able to see it, I think, your life will change.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my opinion about that.
Thank you. Miss Tammy, do you have a kind of experience, or is everything is brand new for you?
What do you mean by brand new?
I mean that when you first learned about Buddhism, you feel familiar with that.
So yeah, I mean, she's spot on, like exactly where I'm coming from, except for just like not 10 years ago, but more like now or 2 years ago. And now I can look around and think of different things that have happened in the past couple of years. And I mean, I see it all over. Like I had no idea that that's where I was headed. But now that I see like the images and just kind of the different things I've gotten into, it all led there. And it was all already in my life when I found it, but I didn't realize it was. It's very bizarre, but it's cool to look back and see now.
Yeah, so that's, this has happened to everyone of us. How about William? At first, that before you came to my monastery, when you was senior or junior, right? In 2001, right? 2002, right?
Yeah. How did I first get exposed, discover Buddhism?
Yes.
In 6th grade, I went on a trip to China through my school. The Chinese teacher organized this trip, and like 16 kids got to go on it. It kind of depended if you were taking Chinese and if your parents had enough money. And during that time, we went to like 9 different cities, and he took us to temples, and he actually gave us incense to offer at these Buddhist temples. At the time, I had no interest, no thought about it, but it was beautiful. Like I remember seeing these huge Buddha statues and being impressed. And then in 8th grade, or no, it would have been in 5th grade in social studies, there was a section on Siddhartha where they talked about Siddhartha leaving the home life. And that was really all I'd heard about Buddhism, other than my brother had a friend who claimed to practice Tibetan Buddhism. But then in 8th grade, I actually got kicked out of school for the last 8 weeks because I had a knife fell out of my pocket on the bus. And I got to go on to high school, but during those 8 weeks, I would go downtown with my mom. And one day I decided to go to the library and look up Buddhism. I had a notion of it being a kind of a path towards dignity. I really felt like kind of worthless in a lot of ways with where I had been spending my time, what I'd been doing. And I checked out a book on Zen Buddhism. So that was like after reading that book, I started sneaking away and meditating and not telling my family because I was afraid they would make fun of me and judge me. And then eventually I found the Anlak Buddhist temple because of a friend here in Indianapolis. And we actually, on a Tuesday night, late at night, like 9 o'clock, he was like, hey, I know this temple. It's over on 30th and Emerson. So we just went there wearing like the sort of clothes you would wear to go to like a rave, a dance party. And we didn't know the rules about the temple. So we walked in the big red doors, which are reserved for visiting masters and monks and nuns. So, and when we walked in, there were the 2 rows of people, men on one side, women on another, and then an old man in the front, hitting a drum. And well, he was holding incense. There was another person hitting the drum. And it turns out they were reciting the Bodhisattva precepts in Vietnamese. And like, we weren't really supposed to be able to be in there, but they let us sit in the back because we couldn't speak Vietnamese. And then after that, I went there like every weekend. So a lot of kind of interesting just coincidences and kind of inexplicable events.
Mm-hmm. That's the connection there, huh? Okay, that's great. Yeah, Thầy Giáo Pháp, you want to say anything?
Yeah, move on. Well, when I was young, I think it's maybe 22 or 20. That means 30 years ago. So basically, I try to search for the teacher to learn Buddhism. But at that time, it's hardly anyone to lecture the Dharma. And you know what? I give up. I said, okay, I will go back to focus on my study. And you know what? After few years later, I'll be able to join Nụ Hồng. That means one of the range from Thích Nhất Hạnh. That means the Venerable Thích Nhất Hạnh. And I been with them for a year, and I don't see it suitable for me. And you know what? They said that, oh, you are different than this group. You should go to Venerable San Hoa, so you can learn the Dharma from there. That is the city of 10,000 Buddha. And from there, I went to the local temple in Long Beach, and I learned the Buddhism every week. Since then, and later on, I found my teacher here. That means in 1999, and from there, I engaged in Buddhism learning from there.
Okay. John, sorry, I don't call you today much. John, do you have anything to say, John?
Nothing. Currently, I'm thinking in my mind right now.
Rồi Thân Thiện, want to share anything?
When I was little, my grandma used to take me to the temple to pray, and I didn't get into Buddhism yet. And then I met you in May 2013, and I just came there and I got I converted to Buddhism, and I didn't get into learning about that. And so when my mom got very sick and she has cancer, and I thought I should do something. I should know to learn how to pray for her. And then I came back and I visit the temple in Houston, and I met with Thầy Gia Pháp, and we get into it, and he share about the story about the Buddha and all this stuff, and it's make me want to study more, and I want to study more and understand more. So that's how it's make me want to be focused on studying more.
Thank you. So again, no matter where we live, no matter who we are, as long as we have connection with Buddhism, one day, sooner or later, we get back. Okay, anyway, since time is up, let's just finish up today. So yeah, go ahead, please, Tăng Thiền. Can you say Namo Shakti Buddha, please?
Namo Sakyamuni Buddha. Namo Sakyamuni Buddha. Namo Sakyamuni Buddha.
All right, thank you. Thanks for everyone. Yeah, thank you. I see you next Saturday then. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Taylor.
everyone. See you next
Thank
time.
you.
Thank you.